The rain drummed steadily against Sarah's living room window, creating a rhythm that matched her tired heartbeat. She had just finished cleaning up after another long day at Mitchell & Associates, where she worked as a senior marketing coordinator. The small apartment felt especially quiet tonight, filled only with the soft glow of her reading lamp and the gentle patter of raindrops. Sarah wrapped her hands around her warm mug of tea and settled into her favorite armchair. At 32, she had grown comfortable with her evening routines. Work, home, tea, and a good book. It was a simple life, but it was hers. She had learned to find peace in the predictable rhythm of her days, especially after the chaos of her 20s. A sharp knock at her door broke through the evening's tranquility. Sarah glanced at the clock on her mantel. 9:15. Who could be visiting at this hour? She set down her mug and walked to the front door, peering through the peephole. Outside stood a man in his mid-30s, his dark hair dampened by rain. He wore a simple navy sweater and jeans, and beside him stood a little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old. The child's blonde hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she clutched a worn teddy bear against her chest. Both of them looked exhausted and slightly lost. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then opened the door, leaving the chain latch secured. "Can I help you?" The man looked up with tired eyes that held a mixture of embarrassment and desperation. "I'm so sorry to bother you this late. My name is David, and this is my daughter Emma. Our car broke down about 2 blocks from here, and my phone died. The rain started coming down harder, and I saw your light on. I was wondering if we could use your phone to call for help." Sarah studied his face. There was something genuine about his expression, something that made her want to trust him. The little girl shivered slightly, and that decided it for her. She unlatched the chain and opened the door wider. "Of course, come in out of the rain," she said softly. "I'm Sarah." David's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you so much. I know this is unusual, and I really appreciate your kindness." Emma looked up at Sarah with wide, curious eyes. "Your house smells like cookies," she said in a small voice. Sarah smiled. "I made chocolate chip cookies earlier today. Would you like some while your dad makes his phone calls?" The little girl's face brightened, and she nodded enthusiastically. David placed a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Emma, remember your manners. Please, may I have a cookie?" Emma asked politely. "Of course, sweetheart." Sarah led them into her living room. "The phone is right there on the side table, David. Help yourself." As David made his calls, Sarah went to the kitchen and returned with a plate of cookies and a glass of milk for Emma. The little girl sat cross-legged on the floor, her teddy bear in her lap, eating cookies with the serious concentration that only children possess. "Is your bear hungry too?" Sarah asked, sitting down on the couch nearby. Emma giggled. "His name is Mr. Buttons, and he already ate dinner. But he likes to watch me eat cookies." "That's very considerate of you to let him watch," Sarah replied with a warm smile. David hung up the phone and turned to them with a frustrated expression. "The tow truck can't come until tomorrow morning because of the storm. And there are no available hotel rooms within 20 miles. Everything's booked up because of some conference in town." Sarah looked at the man and his daughter, both still slightly damp from the rain. Emma had finished her cookies and was now curled up on the floor with Mr. Buttons, her eyelids growing heavy. "You're welcome to stay here tonight," Sarah heard herself saying. "I have a comfortable couch, and Emma can sleep in my guest room." David's eyes widened. "Oh no, I couldn't ask you to do that. You've already been so kind." "You're not asking," Sarah said gently. "I'm offering. It's late, it's still raining, and Emma looks exhausted." David looked down at his daughter, who had dozed off on the carpet. His expression softened with pure paternal love. "She's had a long day. We just moved here from Portland, and everything's been new and overwhelming for her." "A new city can be challenging," Sarah agreed. "What brings you to our little town?" "A job opportunity," David replied, carefully lifting Emma from the floor. "Something that I hope will give us a better future." Sarah showed them to the guest room, where she helped David tuck Emma into the bed. The little girl stirred slightly as they pulled the covers up to her chin. "Daddy," she mumbled sleepily. "I'm right here, sweetheart," David whispered. "Go back to sleep. Is the nice cookie lady going to be here in the morning?" Sarah felt her heart warm. "Yes, Emma, I'll be here." Satisfied, Emma drifted back to sleep, still clutching Mr. Buttons. Back in the living room, Sarah brought David a pillow and some blankets. "I hope the couch is comfortable enough. It's not fancy, but it's better than a car in the rain." "This is perfect," David said, settling onto the couch. "I can't thank you enough, Sarah. Your kindness tonight means more than you know. They talked quietly for a while. David told her about his daughter's love of drawing and her nervousness about starting at a new school. Sarah shared stories about growing up in the town and her favorite local spots that Emma might enjoy. There was an easy comfort in their conversation, as if they were old friends catching up rather than strangers who had just met. What kind of work do you do? David asked. I work in marketing at Mitchell & Associates, Sarah replied. It's a good company. The people are nice, and they treat their employees well. Something flickered across David's face, but it was gone so quickly that Sarah wondered if she had imagined it. That sounds like a great place to work, he said quietly. Eventually, they said goodnight, and Sarah went to her bedroom. Despite the unusual circumstances, she fell asleep easily, lulled by the knowledge that she had been able to help someone in need. The next morning, Sarah woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of quiet laughter from her kitchen. She found David and Emma making pancakes, working together with the easy familiarity of a team. Good morning, Sarah said, smiling at the sight. I see you've made yourselves at home. Daddy makes the best pancakes in the whole world, Emma announced proudly. He's teaching me how to flip them. I hope you don't mind, David said, looking slightly embarrassed. I wanted to make breakfast as a small thank you. I don't mind at all, Sarah assured him. It smells wonderful. They ate breakfast together, Emma chattering about her excitement over starting school and exploring the new town. The morning sunlight streamed through Sarah's kitchen window, making everything feel warm and golden. After breakfast, the tow truck arrived. David gathered their few belongings while Emma gave Sarah a long hug. Thank you for the cookies and for letting Mr. Button sleep in a real bed, Emma said solemnly. You're very welcome, sweetheart, Sarah replied, hugging her back. I hope you love your new school. David shook Sarah's hand, his grip warm and firm. Thank you for everything, Sarah. Your kindness last night restored my faith in people. I hope we meet again someday. In a town this size, we probably will, Sarah said with a smile. She watched from her window as they got into the tow truck and drove away, feeling strangely empty now that her quiet apartment was quiet again. Monday morning arrived with its usual rush. Sarah grabbed her coffee and hurried to the office, where she found an unusual buzz of activity. Her colleague Jennifer was practically vibrating with excitement. Sarah, you're never going to believe this, Jennifer said breathlessly. We're getting a new CEO. He's flying in from Portland, and he's supposed to be some kind of business genius. Everyone's talking about how he turned around 3 failing companies. That's interesting, Sarah replied, settling at her desk. Do we know anything else about him? His name is David Mitchell, Jennifer continued. And apparently he has a daughter. The rumor is that he moved here specifically because he wanted to raise her in a smaller community. Sarah's coffee mug froze halfway to her lips. David Mitchell. The same David who had spent the night on her couch. The morning passed in a blur of nervous energy. At 10 o'clock, all employees were called to the main conference room for an introduction to their new CEO. Sarah sat in the back, her heart beating faster than usual. When David walked into the room, now wearing a crisp business suit instead of rain-dampened clothes, their eyes met across the crowd. His face registered the same shock that Sarah felt, followed quickly by a warm smile. Good morning, everyone, he began, his voice carrying the same gentle tone she remembered from their quiet conversation. I'm David Mitchell, and I'm honored to be joining the Mitchell & Associates family. As he spoke about his vision for the company and his commitment to maintaining its values while fostering growth, Sarah found herself remembering their conversation about kindness and community. This was the same man who had made pancakes in her kitchen and tucked his daughter into bed with such tender care. After the meeting, David approached her with a mixture of professional composure and personal warmth. Sarah, he said quietly, I had no idea you worked here when we met Friday night. Neither did I, she replied, feeling suddenly shy. I guess it really is a small town. Would you join me for lunch today? He asked. I'd love to continue our conversation, and I think Emma would be disappointed if she didn't get to see her cookie lady again. Sarah smiled, remembering the little girl's sleepy voice and the way she had trusted a stranger so completely. I'd like that very much, she said. As she returned to her desk, Sarah reflected on the unexpected ways life could change. Sometimes kindness was its own reward, and sometimes it opened doors to possibilities you never could have imagined. Either way, she was learning, it was always worth offering.